Welcome to the You Are Worthy Network, everybody. Happy Friday. You've made it to the end of another long, hopefully productive work week. So I want to say, jump right in before I introduce you to our wonderful guest today. What is the You Are Worthy Network anyway? If it's your first time joining us, and that's possible, the group continues to explode, which I give all the glory to God for, by the way, as we crossed over 13,000 members just, I think it was yesterday. I know there's new people chiming in all the time. And what is the You Are Worthy Network? It is an opportunity for you to be encouraged and given a shot of hope to continue on your journey, wherever you're at on it, because we want to remind you, wherever you're at on that journey, that your story is not done yet and that you are worthy of love, respect, and success. And I interview entrepreneurs, leaders, and people with incredible stories. You're a story that I've got coming in about 2 weeks is going to knock you off your socks. But each guest I have is amazing because they've reached very successful heights. They've persevered. They've gotten back off the canvas when they failed. And you may be tempted at first to say, well, gosh, all these folks are next level, the things they've achieved. And you know what? We should applaud them. We should rejoice with them. But here's what I want you to really take away from this. They didn't get there overnight, and they didn't get there without a lot of bumps and bruises and almost giving up themselves. They've overcome a lot. And that's why I have them on here to talk about not only their achievements, but times in their life when they didn't feel worthy either, because we all go through that, right? Let's be honest. So we're all in that same boat of trying to overcome our lack of self-love, imposter syndrome, lack of self-worth. And I'm here. I just get to be the vessel to say, you are worthy and your story's not over yet. Okay, enough about that. I want to introduce you to my new friend and a wonderful human being who has overcome a lot, as you'll hear. And I met Tracy about a month ago at an event we were both attending in Dallas, and we struck up a rapport, and I invited her on, and she gracefully said yes. And so there's the backstory. Let me tell you a little more about Tracy before I introduce you to her. Tracy Robert is considered Tracy the Hope Dealer. I love that. She has been in the health and fitness world for over 25 years and loves making a difference in the lives of clients. In 2015, she was diagnosed with colorectal cancer at the age of 40. She had treatment and surgery, which left her with a permanent colostomy bag. She thought she would never recover. Before cancer, she suffered with gut issues for years and was frustrated by the medical community that offered her nothing but eat more fiber. In 2017, she started following Dr. Daniel Pompa, who changed her life. She began diet variations, fasting, and healed SIBO in 2019. I knew what was next. She said she knew what was next for her and began coursework to deepen her understanding of how to help people get to the root cause of their unexplained symptoms and offer real solutions and proper detox protocols. She is now a certified health practitioner and detox coach that helps clients heal from the inside out. She specializes in weight loss resistance, gut health, autoimmune conditions, and cancer thriving. Her Art of the Restart Academy is a 5-month coaching program that focuses on getting to the root cause and teaching proper detox to improve cellular health. She wants you to know that nothing is impossible. Your disease or condition is not a life sentence, and there is hope in healing in a non-traditional way. Tracy also has a signature talk she likes to deliver from stage called Restart the art of the restart, the roadmap to healing from the inside out. Love it. Tracy, welcome to the Your Worthy Network.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
You're very, very welcome. So, what's it? I started asking people here in the last couple of interviews, what's it like when you hear your bio read back to you?
I think that it makes me feel that I've overcome a lot. And we all have this journey of life. And instead of getting stuck in these markers that have been decided for us from maybe society or how we grew up, that I think when we surrender and allow the journey to occur, we actually have a lot to be proud of. Because even though you can look at, oh, I failed here, I didn't do this, I wish I would have done that. I think when I hear what you read back to me, I thought, huh, I like that girl. I want to hear about this girl. So, and I think that for a lot of people's journeys, I love listening to people's stories like you do. So, yeah, it tells me that I'm excited to be where I am right now.
Yeah, I love that response. I've had different people say it's kind of awkward, it's a little embarrassing, but I love your response in particular. I like that girl. That's really cool. So as I was saying earlier, been hugely blessed to have a group that continues to grow. And I was noticing, I can't remember where it was right now, but I was noticing somebody was watching from outside the US the other day, and that's happening more and more. Tell folks where you're from.
I am from Frisco, Texas. Originally from Buffalo, New York, but I got to Texas as fast as I could, I like to say. I love the weather here, although it seems like it's a little bit more northwest lately. We've had a lot of cloudy, a lot of rainy weather, but I love Texas.
Yeah, Texas is awesome. I've been a few times in the last couple years, and I enjoy it a lot for sure. Big, big difference from Buffalo. I've not been to Buffalo, but I have been to Erie, Pennsylvania. And
Okay.
no offense to anybody from that neck of the woods, but from a weather climate standpoint, Erie was close enough. I didn't have to go to Buffalo.
Yeah. It's beautiful in the summer, I would
Mhm.
say, especially I think as I've gotten older and post menopause, I really could use some of those cooler days. But yeah, the snow it's hard, it's a lot. It's not even just the snow. I think it's just the cloudiness. I am my nickname was Sunshine in, high school and college and stuff. And I really love when it's bright and sunny and it's just so beautiful. So now when it is cloudy, I sort of feel like it's reminiscent of back home a little bit and it makes me feel a little nostalgic.
That is fascinating. You say that too about the cloudiness because we spent those that know us know we're in the ministry. We spent several years in Springfield, Illinois, and love the people, love the town. It snowed a good deal, especially compared to Nashville, Tennessee, where we're from. But I had spent a few years in Kansas City, Missouri as a kid, so I was not, I knew what snow was like. But it's so true, right? It's not the snow, the colds. Yeah, the cold is what it is, but the wind gets you and the gray days. How many gray days there are. Oh my gosh. I mean, it could be -10 if the sun was out. You felt like you had a victory for the day. So it's
Exactly.
fascinating. Um, Tracy, tell us about your family and what do you guys like to do for fun in Texas? Or do you guys like to travel a lot too?
We do. Yeah, well, I am kind of an empty nester pretty much. My oldest son is 21 and just about to graduate. He's going into the ministry as a youth pastor, so that's really exciting. And then my youngest, he still lives here, but he's never here, and he's an electrician. So we're kind of in that season of life where we get to, kind of focus a little bit more on what we want to do. And kind of, for me, it's been looking at what do I want to do with my time now instead of just like, okay, going to the running to the baseball games or the basketball games and, the prom and all the things. So it's been really neat because this has been my first full year of not having kids in school and them kind of doing their own thing. So what do I do for fun? Oh, right now I've been just working a lot, which I find a lot of energy from. I really enjoy it. I love my clients. I love learning what I'm learning and building something. And I just feel like it's the first time in my life I feel very clear with the direction I'm going and where I want to be. But my husband and I have done quite a bit of traveling. We love road trips. He bought a Lexus, and if you ask me what kind, I won't be able to tell you, but and he souped it all up so we can go off-roading and camping. And so we've done, he loves out west. So we've done a lot of trips out west, going to Moab and Bryce Canyon and Yosemite. Last year we spent some time in a very remote area in Idaho, in the middle of nowhere. Like literally, I think we rode like 2, 3 hours into the wilderness, and there was a cowboy, and he said, Just so there's not a lot of people out here in case like you pop a tire or something." So
Oof.
yeah, it's kind of adventurous, but so we're looking forward to doing more of that. I mean, that is something that, we enjoy doing. My husband has a chronic illness, so the day to day still works. We have a foundation through his condition that he has, but so, I mean, I love movies and Netflix, and I love to exercise and just be outside. So, yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So let's jump into the time machine. I want to take you back
Okay.
to senior year in high school, and I think this process is a little bit fascinating. I'm biased, of course, but I think it's fascinating to get into the mindset of 17, 18-year-olds. By the way, I have one of those. I've got three kids. One's out of the house. One's a senior. He's 17. He'll be 18 in September. And then my youngest is 15. So when you were describing go up and down the road with the kids, when they were younger, I totally relate to that as I was doing that with the 15-year-old yesterday. But tell us where you were in your mindset your senior year in high school. So I'll even set you up for it. 2 weeks left from graduation. You've got the cap, you've got the gown, maybe you've got a class ring on your calendar. You've got the dates circled. You're Xing the days off as it gets closer. Maybe Tracy's the one that's been assigned to get the beach ball for the ceremony. I don't know. But are you like, I can't wait to bust down these doors. I've got senioritis to the max. I've got a job. I'm going to keep that job through the summer. I know exactly where I'm going in the fall. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I know exactly what career I'm going to pursue. Or are you the total opposite? I like it here. I'm going to miss this. I'm a little scared of what's next. I don't have a job. I guess I better get one. I don't know what I'm going to do in the fall. Or are you somewhere in between? Where are you?
Well, all I was thinking about is having a good time. I just wanted to have fun. I was going to St. Bonaventure University that fall. Um, I'm a very sentimental person, so I think in a lot of ways, of course, I had, tears at graduation, but I was just looking forward to the graduation parties. I really don't think I thought too far. I don't even think I had a job. I don't know. I had gotten mono, changed the landscape of my whole body my senior year, and I wasn't working. And so I think maybe towards the end of the summer, like the last month, maybe I worked at Tops, which is a grocery store in Buffalo. But I was really focused on fun, having fun, what college was going to be like, just this whole unknown world. And yes, I couldn't wait to get out of Buffalo. I was like, bye, see you later. Yeah, I was not. I think driving down to school, again, like I'm a very sentimental person. So there was emotions like that because there were friends that were staying back home or friends that were going in different directions. But I don't feel like I ever really meet a stranger. So I just love people. I like to talk to different people. So I wasn't worried about that. It was like this whole new thing, and I couldn't wait to be a part of it.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So when you went to school, did you have a specific area of study you wanted to do? And then there was a reason for that? Was there a greater vision for all that?
So I originally went to school as a biology major. Um, and I think it was because I was good at science that my parents encouraged me to do that. I it's funny because although my focus was, I was very excited and I wanted to have a lot of fun and all that, I was full of insecurities and wore a lot of masks. And so I think I hid behind like my smile. And so a lot of things I just was unsure of. I think I was really uncertain of what the future looked like. Like I just didn't think too far ahead. I guess like a typical, I was 17 when I graduated high school. So, I think I was really much more in the moment, but I don't, I ended up getting my degree 6 years later in education. And it's funny because the story was I have a minor in biology. So I spent 3 years at Bonaventure. Then I left and I actually went to England and studied overseas. And the only reason I did that was because I was trying to escape this kind of love triangle thing that I was dealing with. So I was like, oh, like going to Europe sounds like a good answer. So yeah, I was sitting at a table at the dining hall with three other girls. They were all going away next semester. They were going to, like, one was going to Spain, one was going to, I think, Australia, and I think one was maybe going to France. And they were talking about how, oh yeah, it's really easy, like to do. Yeah, you just go to the, student affairs. I forget what the place was that you had to go at school. And I was like, hmm. So I literally left the lunch, went there, grabbed a couple brochures, and the lady said, "Oh, are you interested in going overseas?" And I said, "Yeah, but I can hardly speak English. So I think we're going to have to do like Ireland, England, Australia. Like I can't, I don't want to be immersed." And she was like, "Okay." So I ended up choosing England, and I'm sitting, this is funny. It's St. Patrick's Day. My roommate and I at the time, we take like a ferry over to Ireland for St. Patrick's weekend. And she's like, "So what are you going to school for?" Well, I had just switched my major and I was gonna go for let's see, occupational therapy. And so she's like, "Well, what is that?" Now she's 4 years older than me. She's kind of on track. She's going to be a social worker. I looked at her and I said, "I have no idea. Like, I don't even know what this is. I think my uncle suggested I should try it." So I was kind of just listening to people around me because I was really, I think, unsure of what am I good at? What should I do? What do I want to do, in my life? So at that point, I think my roommate, who I got really close to, said, "You should be like a therapist. You're so good at listening to people and, all of that." So I ended up going into special education, which kind of brought all of it around. And I was in ministry for a time. So, and I've gotten my life coaching. So I kind of got some of that in there. But yeah, I just felt like I was a little lost for a long time. I think my whole 20s, I was a little lost. I loved my 20s, but I was a little lost.
Don't feel bad. I was lost until about 35. So I totally understand. So what did you do? So okay, a little bit of ministry, a little bit did you do teaching at any point?
I did, yes. So I graduated and then I think did substitute teaching for a year and then got a job in an elementary school. I was dual certified, special ed, ed, and then I had a minor in biology. So, and then I got a full-time position. And then at the time, I was married to my first husband. He was a youth pastor, and we started looking at positions because, we kind of wanted to venture out of Buffalo. And so he had a couple interviews, and then we ended up in Plano, Texas. So, yeah.
Okay. So what are you doing in life far as a career goes when you get this sudden out of nowhere news, a diagnosis? I want you to tell us about the diagnosis, but what were you doing at that stage of life? Because you were 40-ish, right?
I had just turned 40. So when we moved to Texas, I had actually three job opportunities. I had three people from the church who were willing to give me a job. And I was like, how do I make working out a job? Like I was like, this is what I just want to do all day long. I just want to work out. Can I make money doing this? So I figured it out and I got my personal training certification, all of that stuff. So I started to work on my own. I was working at gyms. I had gone through a divorce, and then I was kind of in a place where I needed to get insurance. I had two boys. I was needed to get insurance, and so I ended up working for the city of Frisco, which was such a blessing in disguise. I was still doing fitness. I was working at the senior center. So these people, and it's funny because it's 50 and up. They were 50 and up, which I am like 51. So I qualify now for the senior center. And I got to design their whole fitness program, hire people to come on. They were really trying to build that part of, because you had people that were there that kind of came through the Jane Fonda era and they wanted to exercise. It wasn't just playing cards all day or doing, birthday parties. They really wanted something like that. So I had the just fortunate, situation. It's so funny because in the moment that I got the job, I thought I just need it for these practical reasons. But I worked there for 4 years and then I worked for the town of Little Elm. And to this day, the adults that were there, they still have what's called Tracy's Troopers quarterly. They have these quarterly luncheons. So they were like my parents, because my parents didn't live in Texas, that just were here for me in so many ways. So at the time that I found out I had the diagnosis, I was actually working for the town of Little Elm. And I was in charge of like the front desk. So I had more of a managerial role then of doing like the fitness stuff, but I also was doing stuff with the front desk and helping with the building and things like that. So that's what I was doing.
Oh my goodness. So describe to us what it was like learning what could have been well, it was devastating news, but obviously obviously the story ended very, very well. But tell us the initial response to the diagnosis, and then it sounds like tell me if I'm wrong. It sounds like you fought traditional medicine and approaches to it, and learned a lot in the process that eventually leads you to where you are now. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. I had suffered with, in the 90s, IBS, right? I went to the ER multiple times. I would eat something, my stomach would look like I was 6 months pregnant, and they'd say, oh, eat more fiber, take some Metamucil. Nobody really knew what to do with that. I don't think anybody was talking about the gut microbiome or the things that now, you hear so much more about. So I had suffered for 20 years with that. All
Hmm.
stemmed back really from that that Epstein-Barr virus. It really changed the landscape of my body because I was a really healthy kid. So that seemed to, and there was a couple other things that were kind of my perfect storm during that time period. And then it seemed like I had all these problems. And I went all organic when I was 25. So non-toxic living, I was doing, vinegar for cleansers, all of the things that are now like Instagram friendly, But at the time, it was kind of like granola. You had to like search for those places. So, yeah, I just was I was really like a healthy person. I worked out all the time, all the things. I just had this kind of these gut issues, and it didn't really matter what I did. I did cleanses. I was mainly plant-based. I mean, all the things. So, I started bleeding. I always like to tell the story. I was actually misdiagnosed. So when I was 30, I had my first son. And when I went in for my 6 week checkup, she just kind of said, "Oh, it looks like you have an internal hemorrhoid. And, if it bothers you, let me know, blah, blah, blah." Well, it didn't. So about 7, 8 years go by, and I started noticing, I was working in Little Elm. I just started noticing like there was more like bright red blood at times. And I mean, people say, well, did you have other symptoms? I had always had issues. So it was like nothing really, I always had issues when it came to food and my stomach and all that. So, I had gone back to her and she, gave me like, she tried to treat it with suppositories, things like that. But it was really like an intermittent thing. It would come, it would go, it would come, it would go. So all of a sudden, it seemed like out of nowhere. And I had had two other doctor's appointments, like where they had done blood work, like your general practitioner and then my OB, and all my blood work was normal. But I had gone on a trip with my boys and I was at my best friend's house in Colorado and I just started bleeding. And I was like, well, this is a problem. And so I then went back to my GP and I said, well, they tell me that I have this internal hemorrhoid. Like maybe I just need to, see like a colorectal person or a GI, or maybe I need to see an allergist. Like I was trying to rule out all the things. And she gave me, I think, two scripts for, to make an appointment. And I did, and I had a colonoscopy. And when I came out, because she was sort of like, I remember her saying, we'll just, get rid of that hemorrhoid while we're in there. We'll check everything, make sure you don't have Crohn's or colitis. I was like, okay, because I'm thinking maybe that's what it is. And I get out and she said, well, we can't do anything because it's too low. So I'm going to have to send you to this colorectal surgeon. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm still like pretty naive about this. Like I remember going that week to get blood work done and to go get a CT scan. And I was going to go to this other appointment to see this colorectal surgeon. And I mean, I remember taking a picture, like, yeah, like here, not even thinking cancer wasn't even on my radar. There was no cancer in my family. Like it was just not even on my radar. So I was at the chiropractor's office, physical therapist was stretching my leg. I had called the doctor back because she had said, just call me if you can before 5. I have the results. And I called her and she said, are you sitting down? I said, well, I'm laying down, And she said, okay, well, it's malignant. And I was like, what? And I remember the physical therapist like awkwardly, like, should I leave? And I was like, I guess so, and I sat up and it was like it's just like my heart just started. And I just was like, okay. And so I got up, and by that time, the physical therapist, I think, had told everybody in the office. So they were like, don't worry about paying today. So I like walked out. And then I think I went to like a park and just kind of sat there for a while. Like, who do I call first? Mhm.
Goodness, wow, what a shock to the system, right? Um, so I know there's a whole process of emotions, sadness, anger, probably a plethora of others that I'm not even describing. Phone calls you got to make, prayers you got to lift up, game plan you got to execute. And so you try, I'm assuming, well, I don't know. Did you ever try radiation and chemo?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, I was at that point where lifestyle factors, pretty much I had done all the things. I mean, I had eaten clean, I worked out, I mean, all of the stuff. So I think at that time people were like, eat lemons and baking soda. I think that was like the rage, like 2015. I was like, I have lemons every day in my water. You're like, what is this? This is crazy. So yeah, no, I went to four different places because I was hoping they were going to give me a different answer, and they didn't. All of them said because of the location of the tumor, it was bittersweet because number one, it was low enough that I knew something was wrong, but it wasn't high enough, and it was actually within the sphincter muscle, which meant that I was going to have a permanent colostomy bag. And as a person that was, a trainer in the fitness world, I just was devastated. I was just so devastated. So by the fourth person, I finally kind of found my team and got started. So I did chemo radiation first. There was like 30 days where I went. I actually took the chemo pill and then did radiation 5 days a week for a month. I almost finished it, but then I ended up in the hospital for almost 3 weeks because I had gotten burned so bad. I was radiated so bad.
Mm.
Yeah. So I spent 3 weeks on Dilaudid and in the hospital. I had wonderful. It was just a wonderful team of people. It was, it was a incredible experience. It was a very difficult, painful experience, but man, I mean, people showed up. It was really cool to see. And, um, and then after that, I had a little time period where then I was going to have surgery. And in between that, we planned a wedding in 10 days and we got married, all the things. And then, yeah, had surgery.
Wow. And I know I'm fast forwarding a little bit, but like 11 years later,
Yeah.
you're totally clear, right?
I have been clear, yes. So I like to say cancer thriving instead of surviving because I
I
don't want to
like
feel like
that.
I'm surviving it. I want to
I
feel
like
like,
that.
I think my mindset was, I don't want to survive this. Like, I want to get into a mindset of longevity and healing and not feel like make it to the next appointment, make it to the next appointment. So, yeah, I mean, 11 years and I've done a lot of I started looking into other things, like other alternative things, what's out there. I mean, I feel like in the last 10 years, the world of health and wellness has just exploded. I feel like there's just so many more things at our fingertips.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so you're helping women now in a variety of ways. I mean, you're still a coach, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And you've written a book also, is that right?
Not yet. I have a couple ebooks, like nutrition glow up because I'm a nutrition coach and, I've done personal training, but mainly my focus now is as a holistic health practitioner. That's mainly what I focus on. And I have men and women, so I work with both.
Okay. All right. Let's do a little exercise here on the health coaching side. You up for an exercise?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. So this will stretch you to think, but I think you'll see in the power in it as we do it. Let's take a sampling of your clients over the years, and they've come to you with a variety of issues, whatever they are, right? Health related. Describe to us in 3 words what that sampling of clients felt like before they started working with you. I'll even give you one. Hopeless. Now, maybe that's one you'll agree with, but I'm just giving you. So give me 3 words like that.
Yeah.
Just descript words.
Um, Hopeless is definitely one.
Hmm.
Frustrated with traditional medicine, just frustrated.
Hmm.
Unheard. I think unheard, that's a big one.
Hmm. That says a lot. All right. So I've got hopeless, frustrated, and unheard. Now, I'm sure the amount of time you work with clients varies on the needs, varies on the results. But and there's a lot of work on your end that goes into it, a lot of work that goes in on their end of it. And I always like to say, God does the heavy lifting, of course. But coming out the other side of working with you, that same sampling of clients, what three words would you use to describe them on the other side?
Um, I think they would say they have strategies. They can be strategic. Um, Hopeful. One of my clients named me Tracy the Hope Dealer, so it wasn't. I didn't
I
choose the moniker. They chose that for me.
love that.
Um, I think being perfectly imperfect, if I could choose kind of like two words as one, is being like, there's no perfect path. Like, it's okay to restart again, which is why it's the art of the restart. Because I think a lot of people that come to me now, especially now, I think feel that they have exhausted a lot of avenues in what would be more of the traditional medicine world, which has a place. I mean, thank God. I'm grateful for traditional medicine I'm healed because of traditional medicine. I think that you have a broken arm, you have a baby, like it has a place. But I think that it's the feeling of if I do this right, if I do this right, if I do this right, then I will be unscathed in this life, which we know biblically is not true at all. Jesus says will have trials and tribulations.
Trouble. Mhm.
Absolutely. But I think that we're always, as humans, right? We want to survive. Our brain is like, we need to survive. So we're looking for, well, why did you get cancer? Like, what did you do? What did you not do? What do I
Mm.
need to do? So I think whether it's the cancer world or it's the world of like, why can't I lose weight? Or, oh, I have all these gut problems. I think it's always looking for like, I'm not going to do that because they do that. Or so they're looking for hope in other things. The magazine covers, okay, GLP-1s, this is the answer. Or in traditional medicine, I have my insurance and I'm going to take this pill and then I'm going to feel better. So I think being okay with being, perfectly imperfect. Like this is not going to be a linear path. Like a lot of times you're going to maybe go over here and then you're going to realize I got to go this way and then go this way. Like it's going to be a really messy path sometimes. And if you can lean into that and make the most out of every opportunity, which is in Thessalonians, it's one of my favorite verses in there. Like, you really will be able, I think, to find joy even in the chaos.
I'm trying to find the word for that. Is it in the content family? Is it in the thrive family? Is it in the peaceful family? I'm trying to find one word for what you just said. Help me out.
I think contentment, I do. I think that especially people who suffer with autoimmune conditions, if we had the answers to fix the immune system, then the traditional, the world, they would be making the medicine on it, right? So there's tools. So what tools work for certain people, it's going to be different, right? So I always say one size fits one. So what diet strategy might work for, your friend and they've read the books and oh my gosh, this is keto is everything, I need to do this, may not work for you. You may have to do a different strategy, or it may be something that works for you for a time period to help your body
Mhm.
become more metabolically flexible, and then we're going to get you back, to more of just a regular, organic whole food lifestyle. So I think people oftentimes are trying to find this perfect path instead of being able to advocate for themselves, learn as much as they can, and realize that it's okay if you have to shift, if you have to make changes, and that's what life is going to all be about. So if you can be content, my kids make fun of me, but when they were younger, I'd be like, enjoy the journey. Like I would say, well, we just got to enjoy the journey. I think that if you can enjoy the journey, then it becomes a lot more tolerable. Even if you are suffering from
Mhm.
pain or you're dealing with cancer or an autoimmune condition, I think if you get behind the wheel and you're like, there is going to be obstacles. We're not going down the highway. I got to go over this mountain range and I got to go over here around this lake. And I may have to stop a couple times to get gas or my tires changed or whatever. Like in the end, I think people find a lot more contentment in the fact that I have the tools now. Like that's my goal. Like I want clients to feel like I have the tools in my toolbox
Yeah.
and now I can utilize those. And so, it's not here's your diet plan, go do it. Here's the best thing to do, go fast. Fasting is the answer, go do it. You need a multi-therapeutic approach, which sometimes takes supplementation for a season, detox for a season. So it's being able to educate people, taking that education degree, educating people in a way that they can feel powerful in themselves and then have contentment in the journey.
Yeah, I love that. And the reason I did that exercises with you is most people aren't going to come on here in an interview. I mean, they're going to be passionate like you are about what you do, but they're not going to brag about what they do. And so I'm doing the bragging for you by setting that up. So if you're listening to this and are looking for an incredible health coach, I'm probably even selling Tracy short by calling her a coach because she's so much more educated than that. But see, I don't have a great memory to go back to the bio and to get the specific words, so we'll have to settle for coach for right now. But working with Tracy, people go from hopeless to hopeful.
Mhm.
They move from frustrated to strategic,
Yeah.
and they go from being unheard to content. That's power. I mean, there's power in that. And that's a credit to two specific things in general. And in this case, I don't mind being general. That's accredited to you and your commitment to giving back because of all that you endured. And as skilled as you are, and as many tools that you have in your tool belt that you're passing along to others, and keep doing that because it's crucial. Again, the heavy lifting goes to God. Whenever it comes to healing, especially the body, in my opinion, and the heart, but that's a whole nother conversation. God does the heavy lifting. But look what happens when you work with Tracy. So I wanted to brag for you. Um,
And I want to say, Steve, when I think of clients feeling unheard, I think they begin to hear themselves more because they start to, I call it the choose me trinity when I talk, when I give my talk, and that the three most important relationships in your life are God, others, and yourself. But if you don't put your own oxygen mask on first,
yep,
then sometimes those other relationships suffer because you need to be able to know who you are, who God made you to be. And if you can
yep.
start hearing your own voice, then I think you walk into the world with the powers that God gave all of us, and you have much more ability to pay it forward, to help other people, because now you have the tools to start to hear yourself. So I think that's really important to talk about.
That's so impactful. You alluded at the beginning of that about your talk. Tell us more about your talk. And is that a newly crafted talk? And are you looking to give that talk more from stages in the near future?
I am, yes. Yes, I am. So it's the art of the restart, a roadmap to healing from the inside out. And I share a lot of my personal stories. I'm a very open person when it comes to, I've always believed that when I share, it helps people open up because people see themselves in each other's stories. And I think when you can show up vulnerable and authentic and not be perfect, obviously I'm a recovered perfectionist. That's why I probably talk about that a lot. So, and a recovered codependent. So, when I give my talk, I talk a lot about the Choose Me Trinity, breaking the start, stop cycle. And so I have a tool that I use with my life coaching. I don't specifically do just life coaching. Everything kind of is a combination as we're working together with the tools that I have. But it's a cycle that I created for myself to kind of break out of some mindsets, some negative patterns, things that I wanted to do differently. You take the things from like the years you've grown up with, the hurts and the things that have happened to you, and you go, okay, what do I want to keep and what do I need to throw in the bin and grieve whatever it is so that you can move forward. So I like to try to teach people to have some tools. And I call it the break the stop start cycle. And then the last one is the University of Adversity, really understanding that pain is actually our greatest teacher. Although at the moment when you're going through it, it feels like an enemy. It feels like, and I think it's because it is that being crushed that often that journey in the middle from who I was to who I'm supposed to be, that bridge is not a smooth road usually. It's pretty jagged. But I think that when you can go through that and take all of those lessons, it then can become a ripple of wellness in your own life and for other people.
I can't wait to hear that talk. And I'm sure you've heard this before, but when you were first describing the process inside the framework inside that talk, I certainly heard the first few chapters of your book. I'm just saying.
It's gonna come. It's
No
gonna come.
pressure.
No pressure. No, it is on my agenda. It is on my agenda for sure. Yeah.
That's
It's
awesome.
been a journey to get here, like about 4 years ago, I said, where do I want to be by the time my youngest graduates? And this is really, I would say, the power of mindset and looking ahead because sometimes we feel sort of stuck. And I remember saying, well, where do I want to be? Do I want to be in the same place? And I was like, I don't. So even though it can't happen right now, how do I get there? I remember praying, like, God, just put those people in my path, put the certifications, like help me see the journey. And although, again, it was not a straight line, but then things started coming. And I think because I allowed myself to ask myself that question, I feel like every question except for why, because why just leads to paralysis of analysis. Every question we ask ourselves starts to poke holes into our thinking, kind of that stagnant thinking. I think we just get stagnant or we've like overcome something and then we're like, okay, I'm just going to stay here. I just want to stay here. I don't want to veer off. I think those questions help me to open myself up and then I could see more. Like, yes, I'm going to hire this person. Yes, I'm going to take this course. This is where I'm going with this. So now I feel like it's a
Yeah.
culmination of, and my first client that I had with my Art of the Restart Academy was literally last May, right before Ryan graduated. So I was like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, I'm so glad you have that mindset. And I'm going to say a couple things about that, and then I've got a question for you. I had a business coach maybe year, maybe it might have been as much as a year and a half ago, but she was trying to encourage me that I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And that at first that didn't sit well with me because deep in my core, I'm impatient. And I've got a buddy of mine. He's a speaker coach also, and we've got matter of fact we were just talking about this last night. Our saying is well, I've got a couple of sayings. I say that there's no microwaves in heaven, only crock pots. And sometimes I have to check with God. God, I know it's all on your timing. Can you just check and make sure mine's even plugged in right now? And then our other saying is God's baking the cookies. Quit trying to open the oven before they're done.
Oh.
And I'm like, and we that enters our conversation, this friend of mine, every time we get frustrated with timing or why is this not happening yet or why is this all that stuff. And if you're on this journey as an entrepreneur, a coach in any way, you're going to experience that. I assure you. And I think it's like the journey's like a puzzle. There's going to be times when you can't figure out where those pieces go at all, but there's other times where God gives you a few pieces at once, or a corner piece, or a middle piece that's significant, where you can't see the whole picture, but it's like, I think I know where this puzzle may be going.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes to what you taught your kids. Enjoy the journey. And so even at my core, I'm probably still a little impatient. I'm learning to enjoy the journey, and I am right where I'm supposed to be. You're right where you're supposed to be. And the good news about it all, because I get to remind everybody of this, our stories aren't done yet. Our
Right.
stories aren't done yet. So, Tracy, tell folks where they can find you, learn more about the great work that you're doing.
Yeah, so my website is mosaic wellnesshub.com. And then on all of my socials, I'm Tracy the Hope Dealer. So that should be pretty easy. And Steve, there's when I was listening to you summarize everything, this verse that God gave me early on after I had gone through cancer, like all of that. There was a verse in the Bible. It's in the book of Samuel, and I'm real bad with numbers, so I'm not going to even tell you the number because there's three of them, and then I get confused. So, but I know what it says, which is, "Stand still and see the great thing the Lord is about to do before your eyes." And I remember thinking, I'm not really good at standing still. I'm a mover. I like to be moving. So, okay, great. So I got to stand still and see the great things like it's ahead of you that he's going to do. And so to me, that is the verse that grounds me. I think in the moments I feel extremely frustrated, where I should be here, I should be, all the things we go through in our heads. So
I love that. And all the socials that Tracy just gave you guys, we're going to put those in the show notes. Easy for you guys to just click on the link and find her and learn more about her. Tracy, this has been awesome. Any last words of encouragement? Somebody that might be watching that has been through similar health challenges that you've been in, or maybe they're not even health challenges. Maybe it's just they're weary from the journey at this point. What words of encouragement would you leave them with?
get up again and take one step forward. We don't help ourselves by ruminating on it. There is a time, I think, for reflection, and that can be really valuable, but you have to just take action. You have to take a step forward. It could be a baby step, it could be a step of hiring a coach, it could be writing that book, it could be going to that therapist. Um, Stopping some habit, whatever it is, I would say that is where you're going to start gaining momentum in your life, taking action, doing one thing today that will just start to change where you feel stuck.
I love that. I love that. Get up again,
Get up again.
take one step forward. Um, I'm old enough to remember the movie What About Bob?
Love that movie. Baby
Baby
steps,
steps, baby steps.
baby
That's
steps,
exactly right.
baby step to the elevator, baby steps. It was so funny.
No matter how small, you will
Yes.
get there eventually, but you gotta take one step. This has been awesome. Tracy, thank you for being wise, compassionate, and vulnerable. I really appreciate your heart to give back. And thank you for the great work that you're doing. It's been an honor to have you today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Steve.
Absolutely. Guys, Tracy survived cancer. God was not done with her story yet, and he's not done with yours by a long shot. Be encouraged by that. I hope you have a tremendous weekend. Until next time, God bless. Take care.